Hiya kids, this is Ivan. This is kind of an impromptu video where I'm going to respond to something that somebody posted in response to my saving throw series, and the poster's name was Celebrum, and essentially what he said was that Thieves' saving throws were kind of poor. And that's something you often hear when people talk about the Thief, is that their saving throws kind of suck. This sort of dovetails really well with not only the saving throw series, or just looking at saving throws, but in terms of the fact that 1E does not have unified XP, and it's often a mistake to judge a class relative to other classes based on level rather than what the XP they have at any given time is, because they're going to be at different levels at different XP. So I figured I'd take the challenge and look at the saves. Now, I'm going to ignore Rod, Staff, Wand because those are always one better than spells, so when I say stuff about spells, it's essentially true about Rod, Staff, Wand. In terms of poison, paralysis, and death magic, it's true, the Thief is always behind the Cleric, and so is everybody else, because they don't have that divine intervention kicker that the Cleric gets. However, they're only one behind the Fighter until 250,000 XP, when the Fighter starts to pull ahead, and they're always ahead of the magic user, so the Thief does pretty good against poison, paralysis, and death magic. In terms of petrifaction and polymorph, or petrification if you'd like, same word, different spelling, means the same thing. They're ahead of everybody until 40,000 XP. Then they sort of play leapfrog, +1, -1 between the classes, and they're not really passed by more than one until 1.25 million XP, and then only by the Fighter. So they do rather well versus petrifaction and polymorph compared to the other classes. Versus breath weapon, they do about the worst. They're about 1 or 2 behind everybody else, until the Fighter hits about 250,000 XP, and then he really kind of takes off like a rocket. But, you know, even at the end of the chart, they end up a little bit behind everybody. It's not by a lot. And finally, versus spells. Thieves save very well versus spells compared to the other classes. They don't start out so great, but they kind of play leapfrog with the Fighter and the Cleric. They're plus or minus 1 or 2, you know, depending on where you are in the level progression. And they actually come very close to the magic user a lot of times, and you know, sometimes they're only one behind him. And in fact, at high level, they do better than magic users versus spells. They're one better than magic user from 1.54 million XP to 2.2 million XP. And the magic user catches up for a second, is ahead by 1, and then they're ahead of the magic user again from 2.42 million XP to 4.125 million XP, when finally the magic user overtakes the Thief versus spells. So, do Thieves save really poorly? Not so much.